The year is 2025, and we still don't have flying cars. We arguably don't even have self-driving cars yet. Teleportation doesn't exist, none of the Animorphs books have come true, and I still suck at guitar. But of all the technological pipe dreams that have come to pass, one stands out as a raging success and has increased the quality of life exponentially for people all around the world. What is that incredible technological success? Well, I'll tell you. Tube-based guitar preamp pedals. Now calm down over there. Don't hurt anybody on your side of the camera. I know it's exciting. I know you're saying,
thank God it wasn't something stupid like a cure for cancer.
But in the year of our Lord 2025, tube-based preamplifier pedals exist, and they are awesome. And today, we have the pleasure of checking out a brand new 2-channel version of RedSeven's Leviathan preamplifier, complete with noise gate, built-in boost, stereo outs and effects loops, full MIDI functionality, impulse response loading, and custom power amplifier modeling. This may be the most technologically impressive preamplifier pedal yet, but none of that matters if it sounds like a sweaty sack of dog duty. Lucky for you, I've already played this bad boy, and I can show you that it sounds like this. All right, guys, hope you're doing great out there today. If this is your first time here at my channel, my name is Kyle, and welcome to Belligerent Studios. What I do here is I take all sorts of awesome high-gain related guitar equipment, record it with a simple setup, and I give you the unprocessed audio on your end. So if you're into Easthander thrash riffs, dropsy hardcore riffs, and dudes that inexplicably run out of breath mid-sentence, you're in the right place. Consider hitting the like button and subscribing on the way out so you don't miss any more of my stuff. Thanks. All right, guys. Bet you didn't see a ridiculous intro coming from me. And you know what? I'm sorry, but I just get excited when we get to check out awesome new products here on the channel. And that is absolutely the case today with RedSeven's all new Leviathan tube-based 2-channel guitar preamplifier pedal. This thing is small, it's lightweight, it is basically an entire guitar rig in a single pedal. And when it comes to one middle-aged, sweaty, overweight man's opinion, I think this thing sounds absolutely excellent. This thing is packed with more features than my single-digit brain cells will ever be able to comprehend, and it essentially takes up the space of 2 regular-sized pedals on your board. So we are gonna take a look at all this thing is capable of today, but most importantly, we're gonna plug it into a few different power amps, and we're gonna see how it sounds so you guys can kind of get an idea how it might sound through your rig. And then we're gonna do what I personally feel like this thing was kind of created and intended to do in the first place, and that is be a studio-based preamplifier pedal. And what I mean by that is I really do think that this thing was designed with studio players in mind because of some of the functionality that is built in here. It is literally just a studio guitarist's dream, and it is an all-in-one box that does everything that it tries to do extremely well. But with all that glazing out of the way, I want you guys to know, in the sake of full transparency, this is a sponsored video. RedSeven have sent me the Leviathan preamp pedal, and they are paying me to share it with you guys here on the channel. So feel free to take everything that this sweaty, middle-aged, overweight man has to say with a massive grain of salt. You're more than fair to do so, but just know I'm gonna give you guys my honest thoughts and opinions, as I always do. Keep that in mind. So if you guys are unfamiliar with RedSeven, they are an Italian-based boutique amplifier building company, and it really seems like in the last 5 years, they have kind of just burst on the scene as one of the premier boutique amp building companies. And recently they have taken all that passion and knowledge and ingenuity that has been presented in their flagship amplifiers, and they have taken that focus kind of over to the pedal and the technological side of the guitar amp world. The guitar gear world that's more appropriate, right? There's more than just amps. More than just amps, Kyle. My comment section every day for the last 4 years. But they have taken some of the tech from those pieces of equipment and kind of packed it into this Leviathan. So they've married their excellent boutique tube amp knowledge with their knowledge of the technological side. Some of the main features, as I said, there's too much for me to go over, and honestly, some of the features I personally will never ever use. I'm a grip it and rip it type dude. Whether we're talking about guitar gear or hoagies, it doesn't matter. I don't want to think,
I just want to do.
But when it comes to guitar gear, the tones are very much what I focus on versus the feature set. So that is why we're gonna focus more on the sounds that we are able to get out of this pedal, but I would not be doing it justice if I didn't go over some of the awesome features that are built into this thing. So as I said in the beginning of this video, this is kind of like an all-in-one type pedal. It has a built-in overdrive, it has a built-in noise gate, and while those things on their own aren't all that impressive, when you get into the software side of this pedal, and yes, if you're the type of person that cries because you have to actually use your phone for something other than getting catfished on dating apps, you will be upset about this pedal because to unlock its full functionality, you do have to use an external software app. But again, once you dive into the software that you will be using with the Leviathan preamp pedal, you'll notice that there is a ton of tweakability going on with the gate and with the boost. And the cool thing about the drive is it can actually function as a typical overdrive, like a tube screamer in front of an amplifier. It can function as a solo boost, giving you a volume boost. So if you're the type of person that can actually play guitar, unlike myself, and you need to boost your solos above the rest of the band because you're 53 years old and you still think that you're gonna find your wife in the dive bar that your cover band plays every week, you can absolutely do that. And the coolest part is you can set it up so that it can be both of those things. And you can also set that up to be channel or preset dependent. When it comes to the noise gate, you can also set the noise gate up not only per preset, but also per channel, and not just per channel. You can also set it up per channel with the boost on and off, meaning if you want a different gate setting or threshold on, say, channel 2 with the boost off than you want with the boost on, you can set up both of those parameters so that the noise gate automatically changes to what you need once that boost is turned on or off. See what I'm saying? Like, the technology in this thing for being a, an analog piece of gear mostly is actually really, really cool, really forward thinking. So going on to the back of this thing, where I think some of the more standout stuff is, you see we've got all these connection points here. So not only do we have a direct out, which bypasses any of the impulse responses, it bypasses any of the DSP. So if you're gonna send this out to a dedicated power amp and send it through a cab, you're gonna wanna use the direct out. But if you're sending it to the front of house, or you're sending it into an interface or your DAW, and you do want that processing that comes along with this pedal, you can use one of these two stereo outputs here. And the amazing thing is you can use all of those at the same time if you want. If you want to send that stereo out to the front of house live, and you also want to plug it into your guitar cabinet that is behind you, then you can absolutely do that because they give you the connectivity to do that. They also give you a stereo effects loop. So if you get into nerdy loser music and you need effects, especially extra nerdy stuff that requires stereo effects, because you would rather spend your weekend setting up your wet dry rig to further ensure that your rig is always gonna be dry, if you know what I mean. Gross. RedSeven is giving you the option to ruin your life in that way. Also on the back of the pedal, another huge selling point of this thing, we've got the MIDI functionality. So you can set all of this stuff to be switched via an external MIDI controller or via MIDI on your computer if you're doing it studio style. Here you see the USB-C port, and that is where you're going to connect this thing to the software that we were talking about. Unfortunately, this doesn't have any sort of wireless connectivity for that software. So if you want to be using that software, you're gonna have to literally directly connect it with a USB-C cable. So yeah, as far as like the major technological features of this thing, I think that pretty much covers everything. As far as controls, we have very, very basic bass, middle, treble controls with volume and gain on the front for each individual channel. And then we've also got our gate threshold here for a quick adjustment. We've got quick adjustments for our solo boost that is connected to this foot switch. And then over here on the side, we have our trim pots that are for the tone and for the gain of the overdrive side of the overdrive, or the boost is what I meant to say. Can you believe people pay me to do this? And then finally, the last feature that I have not gone over yet, got a little headphone port on there. And with all that stuff out of the way, we heard a little intro clip at the beginning of this video, but let's really kind of dive in, check this thing out, and see what type of tones that we can get out of it. All right, guys, so we have the RedSeven Leviathan preamp pedal going currently into the power section of my PV5150 here, going into a Mesa traditional 4x12 cab, 1999 stock vintage 30s. In this cab, we've got an SM57 on the V30s. There will be no post-processing on anything that you guys hear in the entirety of this video. Wish I could post-process my brain to make work good. Those stumbles were absolutely not on purpose. And everything that you guys heard in the intro clip as far as the actual gain sounds, 100% a product of this pedal and nothing else. I've got no external boost going on at the moment, so it was literally the built-in boost into the actual channel 2 of this pedal going into the power section, which is a very neutral power section of the 5150. So just to revisit that intro tone real quick. Alright, so to me guys, this pedal is really unique sounding. Like, I can't pinpoint anything else that it sounds like. It very much has its own thing going on. The upper mid profile and the highs are in that modern kind of almost like quacky area, but the preamp itself doesn't feel or sound particularly modern. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. It's got kind of a soft feeling low end. It can punch up for sure depending on the way that you boost it and what guitars you use with it, which one thing I found through my extensive testing of guitars tonight, because we went through a weather change here in Erie and now literally all of my guitars need set up again. But one thing that I did notice is this pedal is incredibly sensitive to the guitar and the pickups that you put into it. It will drastically alter how it sounds. It'll alter how it feels. Right now I've got the bass basically all the way up, and it doesn't feel like it has like a ton of punch with my Balaguer Espada here. But when I switch to a different guitar, which I'm going to do in just a second, it's got more low end than I could need. But the gain structure changes pretty significantly. The mids overall, very noticeably different. All right, so switching over to my PRS SE245 real quick, like night and day difference between the two guitars. The mids and the high end have been relaxed like a lot. It really mellowed the pedal out quite a bit. The low end is bigger and it is punchier. It's still not tight, but it is definitely punchier. It is more present. And as you guys could hear in the gain structure, this is a really interesting pedal gain structure wise, because it is saturated, but it also like sounds kind of dry at the same time. It doesn't really sound like it has a lot of that liquid saturation, but when you play it, it feels like it has more gain than it sounds like it has. I'm trying so hard to explain this and not sound like an idiot. But yeah, overall, very unique sounding, very unique feeling. That was just channel 2 though. And that was also with the built-in boost. We are using the built-in overdrive style boost on this thing. So real quick, let's show what it sounds like without that. So as you can see, mellower, obviously not as saturated, not quite as defined. One thing that I haven't noticed about the built-in overdrive is it's not quite like a tube screamer where it adds more sizzle and tightens things up quite a bit. It kind of crunches them up. Just to compare the sound of the built-in drive real quick with the Boss SD1 so you guys can hear what I'm talking about. Here's the Boss SD1. And here's the built-in overdrive. I'm not sure what they modeled the boost off of in this pedal, but it just has a very different feel than what I'm used to from an overdrive. It still does the overdrive thing, but just in a different way. It adds a unique texture, it adds a unique character, and just adds to the uniqueness. Let's say it more. I'm definitely having moments where I really like it. I'm definitely having moments where I'm like trying to tweak it just a little bit more to get it where I want it. Let's hear a drop C hardcore riff on this thing, and then we'll start testing it with some different power amps. guys, so tuning down and doing the drop C hardcore thing, I actually really like how this sounded for that. It's really thick. It's got a guttural thing going on in the low mids that just sounds really mean. And this guitar is a little bit more neutral sounding. So I was able to kind of press the treble up just a little bit, and that added all the bite that I need. And we've been solely on channel 2 so far. Let's go ahead. Let's switch over to channel 1. Channel 1 is a lower gain channel overall, but it can still get plenty saturated, but it really shines for more vintage style tones. So yeah, super reactive to your playing. If you play lighter, it's very dynamic. It'll clean up pretty good with the gain rolled back like it is. But once you really start digging in and strumming hard, comes to life, it saturates quite a bit. Just to show you guys, I don't want to spend too much time on this channel because it's for weak styles of music. There really isn't a lot of low end in this channel, but I do like how it sounds with the gain really pushed and the internal boost on. Yeah, very mid-forward, very aggressive in the top end, but it's just missing that low end. But as you can see, tons of saturation. So we have heard this thing on the 5150 power amp so far. Let's test it on a Duncan Power Stage and an Orange Pedal Baby just to see how it sounds through a couple of different power amps. Alright guys, so across those 4 different power amps, 4 very different sounding tones, 4 different feels, so hopefully that provided some sort of glimpse into how a Leviathan 2 preamp pedal might sound in your setup. One thing I do want to note at the very end there, you guys saw I turned off the internal boost and turned on an external boost. That's because for some reason I was noticing it more with the other power amps. The built-in boost was adding some like quacky kind of frequencies that I was just having a really hard time like dialing out with the other power amps. And when I turned off the internal boost and hit it in the front end with that Boss SD1 Wazacraft, kind of fixed everything for me that I was personally hearing. I just thought it was interesting how those frequencies kind of came out more when I started using these smaller power amps than it did with the 5150 power amp. Take from that what you will, but the last thing that I guess we should do is plug it into my interface and hear some sounds direct in, since that's kind of, you know, the main purpose of this pedal. So let's do that. All right, guys, so I have that Void X Control software pulled up, and as you guys can see here, we've got impulse response left, impulse response right. We can adjust each one of those output volumes individually. Nice function right there in the software. As you guys can see, we've got EVH 57C on the left, And on the right, we've got a V30M RB7M. Here's what they sound like together. So we could go in and knock our volume left completely down. And that is just the right side, and now here is just the left side. And another cool thing about this is if you want, you can technically sum both of these impulse responses to a single output, so it goes to just one output, so you're kind of getting a blend of two of the impulse responses. What the hell did I just do with my hand there? So that way you're getting a blend of the two impulse responses, even if you're not running a stereo setup, which I think is super cool. So here's the summed. But what I'm gonna do for the rest of this video is I'm gonna go stereo, and we are basically just gonna run the left side just so we can hear the changes through an individual impulse response. So you guys heard some noise throughout that section too. I did actually not have the threshold on the gate turned up. I have the threshold on now, 100% silent, so that's super nice. One thing I totally failed to mention at the beginning of this video is they actually give you 16 different impulse responses with the pedal. So you've got 16 different IRs built right in that you can switch between. You can obviously also load your own custom impulse responses on there if you want, but it's nice that they give you a really nice selection right out of the gate with different microphones, different speakers. So we can kind of filter through these here just to hear how this thing sounds with our standard V30 and 57. Let's try something interesting sounding. A G12H 150 with a AKG 414. That is very, very bassy. Here's a 65 watt creamback with a 57. Sounds like a creamback. So yeah, really, really nice that they give you guys all this stuff. You guys, I don't get anything. Going into the boost section here, we don't have it turned on. We can turn it on within the software. Moving on to the noise gate section of the software. As you guys can see here, like I said, we've got channel 1 setting, channel 1 plus boost, channel 2, and channel 2 plus boost. So basically any way that you could set this up between the channel and the boost relativity, you can set a specific noise gate setting for each one of those combinations and save it. And that's really, really cool in my personal opinion. And then we've also got some additional parameters here to kind of really fine tune the gate and how it works. As you guys can see, I've kind of set it up to be like ultra tight and super fast because that's how I like my gates. But if you wanted to change them around, make them more accurate, make them hang for a little bit longer, whatever, you can go in the software and do that. Really, really nice feature. It's not just a basic noise gate. It is a very advanced side-chained noise gate with a lot of control. Let's go over to the power amp sim though, because this is what I personally was most excited about. Right now we have the Leviathan power amp engaged. First off, we can just turn the power amp sim off completely. Listen to how much difference just that makes. Let's move on to the Cento. With my current settings a little thin, the Cali. With my current settings very thin, the Hybrid 100. Man, these power amps are making a massive difference. With some adjustments, that Plexi 50 might be my favorite. Dude, if you want a tighter, more direct sounding power amp, this Plexi 100 EL34 is where it's at. The Leviathan, the KT88, where we started, that's nice and fat and round sounding, but man, this is more my speed. Here's the D100. Dude, so good. D100 RS. Man, I like that one too. They all sound good. Back to the Leviathan. Dude, listen to how much of that tone is in the power amp. That is a massive difference between what we were just on. Go back over to the Plexi 100. I love that they are giving you these options and these simulations with the power amp. Super unique and frankly, something that people don't put enough attention into when it comes to modern high gain tones. And the very last thing, and kind of one of the selling points, at least for Red 7 on this thing, is the stereo widening. Not something that I'm really going to use, but again, if you're one of the people who are using the stereo outputs in the beginning or in the first place in the stereo effects loops, you might want this. So yeah, as you guys can hear, just basically creates more room within the guitar signal. It makes it sound less focused, but it makes it sound bigger overall, like it's kind of surrounding you versus a direct tractor beam, if that makes any sense. Probably not, but I'm gonna wrap it up there. There is so much more to this thing. There are just so many more features that I'm never gonna use. There are other YouTubers who are going to explain that better. I actually talked with my man Jared from Tone Wars earlier because I didn't realize that the noise gate doesn't work on the direct out because the noise gate's part of the DSP. Something I actually think Red 7, when you guys watch this, I think you should rethink that. I think you should allow the noise gate to take effect on the direct output as well, because having all of that in one with the boost and the noise gate to basically be able to use it directly into a power amp as part of a fly rig, having your whole rig basically be this pedal would be amazing. But anyways, Jared is going to dive into a lot of the features as well as I'm sure the other people who are going to show this pedal on their channel. So if you want a deep dive on the features, check out one of the other great videos that I'm sure is going to be coming out today. But for me, it was about the tones, and this thing has added a totally new like tonal palette, tonal flavor to my palette is what I meant to say. Can you believe they pay me to do this? It really is a very unique sounding and feeling preamp. I love that it feels very amp-like, it sounds amp-like. Putting it through different power amps made it sound completely different and made it react very differently too. Different guitars made it react very differently. External boosts, which it worked with really, really well. It seems like a very, very sensitive and dynamic preamp overall. And honestly, I got a few sounds out of it that I really, really dug. I'm really happy to have been able to check this out with you guys here on the channel as my first Red 7 product. But I want to hear from you guys now. What do you guys think about this thing? What do you think of the functionality? What do you think of the tones that I was able to get out of it? Is it something that you're interested in? Whatever it is, leave it down below in the comments and I will be sure to talk to somebody about it. I'm not sure who. One of you guys. Huge shout again to Red 7 for sending this baby out, sponsoring this video. This is our first collaboration on the channel and there will be more to come. Super happy to be working with these guys, and that doesn't happen without you guys, the viewer. So again, thank you guys for your support. If you like the video, hit the like button. If you're not subscribed already, the hell's wrong with you? Subscribe so you can hear more terrible riffs and bad words together put. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Kyle here again. We'll see you next time.